When people mention YuGiOh and die rolls or coin tosses in the same sentence, it's usually in reference to the method of determining who picks turn order before the game even begins. Sure, there are cards that require these trinkets of chance, but they're all terrible and no one plays them. Is there something inherently wrong with these as mechanics, or have they simply not been given the design space to ever truly shine? I believe it's a case of the latter. Existing luck-based cards are bad, but future ones don't have to be. I bring this up because recently, a friend and I were searching through possible targets for Gigantic Sprite when an unassuming common from Darkwing Blast caught our eyes. Psychic Rover, a level 2 psychic monster with this effect. If this card is special summoned, you can roll a 6-sided die, and if you roll a 1 or a 6, destroy up to 2 cards on the field. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can roll a 6-sided die, and if you roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5, special summon this card. The player who summoned it cannot special summon from the extra deck, while it is face up in the monster zone. Even with the extra deck restriction, we thought special summoning itself from the grave without a once per turn restriction seemed pretty good. And the ability to pop 2 cards when special summoned, also not once per turn, seemed pretty good. Of course, the 6-sided elephant in the room being that you have to roll a die to trigger either of these effects. You could just put Cannon Soldier on the field, and have just under a 3% chance of burning your opponent to 0 LP, if you manage to send 3 copies of Rover to the graveyard. But I don't think anyone will be basing their deck around those odds, which is extremely inconsistent even by FTK standards. But there has to be something here, right? It's a level 2, so Sprite can search it, and it's a psychic so you can use Emergency Teleport to get it. That 6 could be used to guarantee the pop effect, if you're willing to devote the deck space and consistency to a rather slow trap that will only really help this one card. So let's run more die roll cards, get more value out of it. The recently released Dimension Dice and Dice Dungeon bring Duke Devlin's Dungeon Dice monsters to the card game in the form of a search card for monsters with die-based effects, and a field spell that searches the former card. Dice cards have been around since nearly the beginning of YuGiOh, so there has to be something else for us to throw in. Dimension Dice summons face up, so we can't even trigger this flip effect. I guess this works, but there are much better ways to destroy cards nowadays, and we can't even force it with that 6. Even the card art of that 6 shows how disappointed Snipe Hunter is with it. There are the Chess Archfiends. They have a Link monster that's not half bad, but I don't think that's enough to carry the lackluster main deck cards. We're not going to be playing this new dice support in GOAT format, so I don't think this is a good option either. After looking through the list of every dice card in the game, Dimension Dice comes out looking like an extender for Morphtronics, and little else. Telephone has an easily loopable effect for Link or Synchro climbing, and the deck provides 2 other pretty good dice effects, which adds more targets for Dimension Dice. Maybe there is a place for Psychic Rover, and maybe I'm just overthinking a piece of pack filler. It's gotten me thinking though, what would it take to make a luck deck work? I don't just mean 1 or 2 cards either. I mean a full deck based around dice rolls or coin tosses. Full retrains of the Chess Archfiends perhaps? First we have to look at what makes a luck card good, or more accurately, what makes most of them so bad. The principal reason should be rather obvious, the lack of consistency. Every die roll or coin toss is a potential point of failure. If I'm devoting resources to a combo, I want that combo to work every time. Or at the very least, I want to force my opponent to use a piece of interruption on it. Even a 2/3 chance of success, better odds than nearly every other luck card in the game, is a serious hit to consistency. There is randomness in the very nature of a card game, true, and decks like Adamantipator and Tearlaments have seen competitive success despite the randomness within their effects. But those decks have a level of consistency that you just can't get with luck effects. Adamanticators have access to powerful rock-supported standers like Gallant Granite and Block Dragon, which get them the cards they need every game. Tearlaments, especially when combined with Ishizu cards, have a wide enough card pool that proper deck building minimizes your chances of not getting what you need off of your mills. I mean, have you seen someone try and play Tear after the ban list? With so few names in the deck, they might as well be panning for gold. There are only a few cards that provide consistency by cheating out the results you want on a die roll or coin toss, and they each have their own issues. There is the previously mentioned that sits, which besides being slow to activate, is burdened by the fact that many die roll cards place the weakest effects on 1 and sits. Proton Blast isn't bad support for Barrel Dragon, but the fact that it's continuous makes it hard to use its much stronger graveyard effect. Dice Reroll and Second Coin Toss improve your odds, but still don't guarantee success. Light Barrier and Reversal of Fate can guarantee coin toss results, but you have to play them with Arcana Force. And well, I'll get into the problem with that archetype in just a second. Last but not least, we have number 67, Para Dice Smasher. Now this card is interesting, because not only does it force a certain die result, it forces a 7, a result that isn't even possible from a single die. It doesn't only create consistency, but it supercharges your results. Unfortunately though, there aren't a lot of cards that actually benefit from rolling a 7, since they specify effects on 1 to 6. I suppose it's the perfect complement to number 7, Lucky Straight, but getting both of these cards out in the same deck feels like a tall order to me. Besides wanting a consistent deck in general, there are a lot of luck effects that you never want to activate at all. Number 85, Crazy Bots, for example, has a nice versatile set of effects. Draw a card, negate a card, destroy a card. Not bad, unless you roll a 1. Then you're just hurting yourself. And a 6 is even worse, since you won't even have a body on the board anymore. Joy may have had amazing luck with Time Wizard, but that 50-50 chance of hitting yourself with Regeki just isn't worth the risk. Nearly every Arcana Force monster suffers from this problem, making the archetype unplayable if you don't open the field spell. Sure, YuGiOh Guardian on a level 4 monster is pretty strong for the GX era, but that's only if you don't immediately lose control of it. There's a reason you never see these cards outside of the occasional gimmicky lock with the world. You're fighting against yourself just as much as your opponent. The only Arcana Force monsters that butt this positive-negative effect duality are the EX Light and Dark Rulers, which offer beneficial effects regardless of heads or tails. They both require 3 tributes to summon, so they're far from perfect, but the fact that you can't screw yourself over with the coin toss means they serve as a blueprint for how to make luck effects work. Right now, all luck effects promote a high roll strategy, where you either get an incredibly strong effect or an effect that costs you the game. There isn't much skill expression to be had in these effects. While editing this video, a new piece of Arcana Force support was announced. Arcana Force 15, the Devil, is the third Arcana Force monster to feature positive effects on both coin toss results. We've also recently gotten Scion the Valence Archer, which also only features positive effects, so hopefully this trend keeps up. I'd like to point out Desperado Barrel Dragon as an example of a well-designed luck card. If a face-up, Dark Machine monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, during the battle phase, quick effect. You can toss a coin 3 times, destroy face-up monsters on the field up to the number of heads, then if the result was 3 heads, draw 1 card. This card cannot attack the turn this effect is activated. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 level 7 or lower monster that has a coin tossing effect from your deck to your hand. While it is possible to get nothing from the coin toss effect, that's only a 1 in 8 chance, and you have an equal chance of high rolling 3 pops in a draw. But importantly, both of these extremes only account for a quarter of possible outcomes. Most of the time you'll be getting 1 or 2 pops during the battle phase, and that's downright reasonable in modern YuGiOh. Add on that its special summoning condition makes it a reasonable response to a board breaker, so you don't have to tribute summon it, and it has a graveyard effect that keeps your advantage up in the grind game. Drop it on your opponent's main phase and they'll think twice about entering battle. Or even drop it during battle phase and go for the coin toss effect immediately. Let's go back to that hypothetical new archetype we were talking about earlier. Let's give them a card that searches for a monster after a head is tossed, and searches for a spell or trap after it tails. Either way, you'd still be able to search something, but the person playing the deck would have to be able to think on their feet and adjust their plays accordingly. It would not be a linear deck with a single line to follow every game, but one with multiple paths and end boards. A tuner could create a token whose level is dependent on a die roll, though it would need a suite of solid synchros to not just be a worse long yawn. A boss monster could alternate between destruction effects and something to protect your own field. They could be given a card like the speed duel skill, It's My Lucky Day, to guarantee a few effects the player feels they really need, but the deck would still be playable if you don't open with it. Obviously, these are just some nebulous ideas that don't fully account for the whole scope of what goes into card design, but I think it's enough to get your own thoughts flowing on the subject. I do not believe luck effects themselves are unviable. They've just been underutilized and haven't been given the synergy needed to make a splash. If they really are too inconsistent to break into the meta, that doesn't mean they can't still be fun. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Click on the bell if you do to get notifications. I hope to make more videos soon, and your support goes a long way towards helping me. If you have any additional thoughts you'd like to share on the topic, please leave a comment below. Thank you.